All right, so we're going deep on this one with Gillie Kid, the rapper turned podcast host, and his show $1 million Worth of Game.
Yeah, his podcast is really making an impact.
For sure, and it's gotten super popular too.
Oh, yeah,
No,
definitely.
globally popular, right?
Yeah, I think it hit #2 globally, which is huge.
Huge, yeah, and it's all about, guidance and mentorship.
Yeah, especially for young people.
Exactly, and in this interview, Gillie talks about Lil Wayne and Rick Ross, and it gets us thinking about second chances and how we deal with conflict.
Well, and the thing is, like, Gillie's run-in with Lil Wayne was kind of blown out of proportion.
Oh, for sure.
Like, he just wanted to get Wayne on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seemed like.
Right, he was at Jackson State University and just happened to see Wayne and thought, hey, perfect opportunity.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Exactly. But then his co-host, Wallow?
Wallow 267.
Right, Wallow posted this video that made it look like Gillie was trying to start something with Wayne.
Ugh. And social media just took it and ran.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens.
Yeah, totally. And Gillie even had to address it, like straight up saying, I never said I was pressing an N. I said I was trying to get an interview from N.
Oh, wow.
Which, I mean, makes total sense.
Yeah, he's just trying to book a guest.
Right, exactly.
It just goes to show how easily things can be, misinterpreted online.
Oh, absolutely. And how important it is to, think critically about what we see.
Oh, for sure. You
Yeah.
can't just take everything at face value.
Especially online.
Especially online. Yeah. And it makes you think about Gillie and Rick Ross, too.
Oh, yeah, how Gillie handled that whole thing.
Right. Ross saw that video with Wayne and basically called them fake.
Which, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be kind of annoyed by that?
Right. And it led to some tension between them. Like, they even had this awkward encounter at a concert.
Yeah, Ross's friend even got involved.
Yeah, as a whole thing. But Gillie's response was really interesting.
How so?
He was like, I don't got no beef with nobody. I stay in my world.
Like he's above it all.
Right. He's choosing to just not engage in the drama.
Which is pretty powerful, especially these days.
It is. Yeah, you don't see that too often.
Like he's setting an example,
Yeah, for sure. But it makes you wonder, is that always the best approach?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, is it ever okay to just let someone disrespect you, especially publicly?
I mean, in some circles, that could be seen as weak.
Right. Especially in hip-hop.
So how do you think Gillie balances that?
It seems like he's really strategic about picking his battles.
Yeah, like focusing on what really matters to him.
Exactly. And this really gets to the heart of his whole philosophy with the podcast, $1 million Worth of Game.
Definitely. He's all about positivity and respect.
Yeah, he's very clear about avoiding negativity and especially disrespect.
Especially with people he doesn't even know.
Right. He said that talking bad about someone you've never met says more about you than them.
I like that.
Yeah, it's about rising above the pettiness,
Totally. And focusing on what's important.
And for him, that's attention, motivation, and education.
The 3 pillars of the podcast.
Exactly.
It's interesting how he connects avoiding negativity to those pillars.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, I'm not going to waste my energy on things that don't contribute to these goals.
That's pretty insightful.
It is. It makes you think about how much of our own energy is wasted on stuff that doesn't really matter.
So much, yeah, and so much negativity these days.
Oh, totally. So we've got this idea of choosing your battles,
Yeah.
avoiding drama, focusing on positive growth. Where do you think all of this leads us in Gillie's story?
Well, it's like he uses his platform to give a voice to people who maybe wouldn't have one otherwise.
Like, he's not afraid to have controversial guests.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Lil Baby,
Right.
Tory Lanez, Kodak Black.
Yep. Artists who have definitely been in the spotlight for, not always the best reasons.
For sure. But instead of shutting them out, he gives them a chance to talk.
Yeah, to tell their side of the story.
And maybe even change public perception.
Right, and that's huge.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes about his belief in second chances.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a major theme for Gillie.
Definitely. It's how he approaches conflict, mentorship, and life in general. And you see it so clearly with his co-host, Wallow.
Wallow 267.
Right, Wallow. I mean, talk about a transformation.
Yeah, he went from a 20-year prison sentence
20 years.
to being a cultural advisor at YouTube and a successful entrepreneur.
It's incredible.
It really is. And
Yeah.
it makes you think about how much potential is wasted when we write people off,
Like just because someone made a mistake,
Exactly.
especially online.
Ugh, don't even get me started on that.
But Gillie's like, hey, people mess up.
Yeah, we're all human.
It doesn't mean they're defined by their past.
Right. Everyone deserves a chance to grow and change.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Oh, for sure. We've all messed up at some point.
Absolutely.
And having someone believe in you, offer you that second chance, can make all the difference.
Totally.
It takes courage to extend that kind of grace,
Especially when everyone else is so quick to judge.
Seriously. And Gillie talks about this directly. He's like, we understand that second chances is prevalent, that a lot of people, that's all they ever need is a second chance.
He gets it.
He does.
Like, we're all human. We all make mistakes.
And he said something else that really stuck with me. He was like, we not like the rest of the world. We understand that people make mistakes. We human man.
There's just so much compassion there.
Right. Like recognizing that we're all in this together.
Like, he's drawing a line saying we're going to do things differently here.
We choose understanding over judgment.
And that's pretty radical in today's world.
It really is. And it makes you think, are we too quick to write people off as a society?
Are we more focused on punishment than rehabilitation?
What if we looked at mistakes as opportunities for growth?
That's a powerful question.
It is. And it's so relevant today with all the negativity online.
Ugh. It's so easy to get caught up in the outrage cycle.
Right. Like everyone's just waiting to pounce when someone messes up.
And we forget that people can change.
That they can learn and grow from their experiences.
Exactly. And I think that's what Gillie's trying to do with the podcast.
He's not just entertaining. He's promoting a different way of thinking.
A more compassionate, forgiving approach to life.
So as a listener, what do you think?
Are we too quick to judge?
Have you ever seen the positive impact of someone being given a second chance?
Or maybe even experienced it yourself? Man, it's been really something exploring Gillie's world. It goes way deeper than just hip-hop.
It really does. It's about how we treat each other,
And it seems like he's actively trying to change things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, he's not about tearing people down.
Not at all. It's all about building people up.
Especially those who've made mistakes.
Exactly. And that takes guts.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It'd be so much easier to just go with the flow,
You could pile on with the negativity.
All the judgment online, it's everywhere, but he's doing something different.
He's choosing a different path.
And he's not just talking about it.
Right, he's putting it into action.
$1 million worth of game is like a platform for voices that need to be heard.
That might not be heard otherwise.
Right, and he's giving people like Wallow Little Baby, Tory Lanez, Kodak Black a chance to share their stories.
To own their mistakes.
And show that they're more than their past.
But that's what makes this podcast so interesting.
It's not just entertainment.
It's about making a difference.
It's about personal growth.
And reminding us that everyone deserves a second chance.
No matter what.
It's about recognizing that we're all flawed. We all make mistakes.
Big and small.
And sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you.
To offer that second chance.
And it can turn everything around.
Gillie's story reminds us that we always have a choice.
We can add to the negativity.
To the judgment.
Or we can choose to be better.
To be understanding.
To offer second chances.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this.
How can you be a source of support in your own life?
How can you offer a helping hand, a listening ear?
A second chance to someone who needs it.
The world needs more people like Gillie. People who believe in redemption.
And who are willing to stand up for what's right.
Even when it's hard.
Because you never know that second chance, that small act of kindness.
It could change someone's life.
And that's something worth thinking about.